Beverly Jarosz was a 16-year-old girl who was found strangled and stabbed in her home in Garfield Heights, Ohio, on December 28, 1964. Her case remains unsolved as of this recording, despite the fact that numerous persons of interest have been named and investigated. I'm not going to do a deep dive on this case here, but there are other podcasts, Reddit posts, and articles you can explore for more information. I'll give you a few key points to give you a better idea of the situation we're dealing with. Beverly Jarosz was a young Catholic teenager who lived with her parents and her younger sister. She attended an all-girls Catholic school and volunteered as a typist at her local hospital. She loved the arts and classical music. She also had her fair share of suitors and, seemingly, a stalker. Towards the end of her life, the Jarosz household received tons of hang-up phone calls, as many as 10 to 12 a day. Someone also left a couple of anonymous gifts for Beverly at her house, a bracelet and a ring, with a note simply saying, "To Bev." Additionally, one night as her father was just arriving home, he spotted someone standing in the yard, staring up at Beverly's bedroom window. Her father tried to chase this mysterious man, but he couldn't catch him. Since Beverly knew she had a stalker, she became extremely cautious, always locking doors, and checking in with her family any time she went out with friends. On the day she was killed, Beverly was to go out shopping with a couple of her friends. One of those friends was due to meet Beverly at her house around the exact same time she was attacked. This friend arrived a few minutes late, knocked on the door multiple times, but received no answer. She heard a loud thump coming from the upstairs of the house, likely the assault in progress. After a while, she gave up waiting and left. When the police were eventually called, they found no sign of forced entry, leading many to believe Beverly let her killer into the house. And she wouldn't have let in just anybody. She would have had to know and trust this person to allow them entry. In 2017, the investigators working on Beverly's case at that time decided to bring the case before the Vidocq Society. This elite group of 82 investigators, based in Philadelphia, came up with an entirely new suspect, one that had not been listed previously as a person of interest. This new suspect was said to have been a male family friend who had visited the Jarosz home multiple times, someone Beverly would have trusted and would have let into the home. The Vidocq Society also said this person's alibi depended on some friends to vouch for his whereabouts, but these friends could not vouch for him when asked. This person of interest was also still alive as of 2021, per the retired investigator interviewed by Mark Hoover on his podcast, Catch My Killer. I've been mulling over what sort of family friend this new suspect could possibly be. How was he not looked at before? I've seen a few people mention the theory that a clergyman may have committed this crime, but the mere entertainment of the notion was always as deep as it went. Beverly and her family attended St. Therese Church, and a memorial service is still held there for Beverly each year. I decided to dig a little to see if I could find anything about any priests who were affiliated with the St. Therese Church of Garfield Heights around 1964. That's when I hit on something extremely interesting. There was a priest named Reverend John J. Mueller assigned to the St. Therese Church of Garfield Heights from 1959 to 1964, the same year Beverly was murdered. This Reverend Mueller was accused in 2002 of sexual abuse of a minor and sexual abuse of a vulnerable woman. The first case occurred in 1962 and involved a 16-year-old girl. The second occurred in 1977 and involved a 24-year-old woman. I couldn't find the details for the 62 case, but I did find an article on the 77 case. This woman accused Mueller of having a 6-month-long indecent relationship with her that began with him sexually assaulting her. Interestingly, this woman specifically mentioned that over the course of this relationship, quote, "He never penetrated me." Whoever murdered Beverly also did not penetrate her. Could this be the killer's mode of operation, or is this just a coincidence? It's pretty crazy how this priest wasn't outed as a sexual abuser until 2002, even though both of these cases, decades old by then, were found to be credible. Mueller was relieved from duty, barred from practicing in a priestly capacity in public, and seemed to have retired in relative shame. That is, until 2019. This same Reverend Mueller was present at a function in 2019 for priests celebrating the anniversaries of their ordinations. In an article on the Diocese of Cleveland website, Mueller is listed among other priests celebrating the 60th anniversary of their ordinations. So much for justice or public censure. So, does Mueller fit the Vidocq Society's description of the perpetrator? Well, yes, in a lot of ways. If Mueller was Beverly's priest, she probably would have trusted him and allowed him into her home. If Mueller was friendly with the Jarosz family, it isn't a stretch to think that they possibly could have invited him over multiple times. The most natural alibi for Mueller would be to simply say he was at the church at the time of the murder. He could have said other clergy members or staff could vouch for him, but when it came down to it, they couldn't. The only thing that doesn't fit is that Mueller seems to be deceased based on a list put out by the diocese in 2019, naming dozens of clergy accused of similar scandals. So he was alive to celebrate his 60th ordination anniversary, but then must have died later that same year. Hence, when the case was first brought to the Vidocq Society in 2017, Mueller was alive, but the retired investigator who spoke with Mark Hoover on Catch My Killer in 2021 reiterated that the suspect was still alive. If that's true, it does rule Mueller out. But then, what would that do for the momentum of the case to admit that the top person of interest is dead? Maybe investigators are keeping things closer to the vest than it may initially appear.